Yo creo que ya estamos listos, Marcus.
Eu acho que sim.
Vamos a hablar español.
Ou podemos falar em português se quiser.
Vamos a decir bienvenidos.
Bem-vindo.
Welcome everybody to the second episode of Cut to the Chase. I'm Fernando.
I'm Marcus.
And today we're going to talk about how Marcus and I met, how we got into the profession, and where we at currently.
Let's do it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how did me and Nacho meet? We always get that question. Did you want to start this one?
Sure.
Okay.
So we met through a mutual friend. His name is Andres. He's a longtime friend, also a very loyal client. When I was starting to cut hair, he had told me he had a buddy back in New York that was cutting hair. And later on, Marcus visited California, and that's when we first met.
Yep. So that was 10 years ago almost. That was fall of 2010. It's crazy. You're getting old, Nacho.
Two great hairs.
But yeah, I came out and visited with one of my friends. We came out here. Shout out to Ish. And we came in the fall of 2010. I met Nacho, and we just really hit it off because Nacho was just getting into the barber game at the time. In fact, he was cutting in his garage. And I remember we ate at his parents' house. His mom made some bomb sopes, I believe, or something. It was good. Anyway, we ate some food, and then we went out to the garage, and I was trying to just show him some tips on barbering. Mm-hmm. The student has now surpassed the teacher. But that was back then when he was humble. He would listen to me. No, but we were in the garage, and we just hit it off after that. Even when I went back to New York after the visit, we would talk every once in a while about barbering and stuff. So that's really how we met 10 years ago. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward through time, Marcus had called me. He's like, "Hey man, I'm moving to Cali." And at that time, I had already entered in an apprenticeship program for barbers. And I was at a barbershop called Access Barbershop on Northgate. The timing was perfect because a barber had just quit, and Marcus was able to take that seat like the following week. So then we started working together at our first barbershop at Access Barbershop.
Yep. Shout out to Access. Shout out to Axe for giving me my first job here in Sacramento. I started working there with Nacho. That was back in 2013. So 7 years. It'll be 7 years next month in September that I came out here and started working. So I'm very grateful to Nacho. He really hooked it up. Kind of put in a good word for me to start cutting out here. And then I ended up coming out here and joining the same apprenticeship program as Notch. Michael Burt's apprenticeship program.
That's right.
It's a 2-year program that we did for our schooling. What's the advantage, would you say, to apprenticeship?
Some of the advantages to the apprenticeship program would be that you're actually getting that real experience in a barbershop. Something that unfortunately schools can't provide that. But there's many benefits to going to a school, but being an apprentice, that's the biggest thing. You're getting the shop experience, you're getting the real deal, real clients, real, ups and down scenarios, but that's one of the things.
And you're getting paid.
That's right, and you're getting paid.
So we go to barbering school. So the advantage to barbering school, for many that don't know, is shorter time period. So you can get finished with barbering school in like 9-10 months if you go full time. The disadvantage is you're not getting paid. You gotta have another job to support yourself at that time. For us, the apprenticeship thing worked perfectly because we were getting shop experience, like Notch said, but on top of that, you're also getting paid. And there is no regulation saying that an apprentice has to charge less than a barber. So that was the dope part, is like we were getting paid the same price as other barbers. And that was mainly because we also had knowledge of cutting hair before we got hired into a shop, and that's important. And I think that kind of leads us to one of the other questions that Nacho put on our schedule here that we wanted to talk to you guys about today, was basically like, how did we get started into barbering? Like even before we joined an apprenticeship. How did that happen for you, Notch?
So the first school program that I entered was Moeller's Barber College. It was located in West Sacramento. It was actually a pretty dope school. A lot of barbers, I remember at least 20 to 30 barbers. And I was only there for a short time. I couldn't finish the program because at that time I didn't have the correct identifications. I'm an action deferred program. I was in that program, the Dreamers program, for the students that are trying to graduate and get their certifications for that program through the United States. So at that time, that wasn't going on. But it was a really good school. Man, it was a lot of fun moments. A lot of those barbers are actually shop owners now. Now that I look back, they're shop owners. Some have even moved to LA, and the careers have really taken off. But then after that, I entered the apprenticeship program, which was really fun. That's when started Access. So shout out to Access. Yahtzee!
Oh my goodness. For myself, I think I've stated this before, but many of you know, like my mom was a barber and a beautician, so kind of grew up with her doing it in the house. When I was 17 or 18, I just started kind of messing around with my own hair, or I should say messing up my own hair. And I just messed up, got better, messed up, got better. And shout out to my aunts and my cousins and my second cousins back home in Indianapolis, because they really helped me to get started. A lot of my friends back in Indy helped me. I was just cutting on the side. I would take my chair and my supplies in a bag, and I would head to their house and do house calls. And that's how I kind of got started into barbering. And then after I graduated high school, I started going to a barbering school for a little bit. I didn't end up finishing school before I ended up going to New York to help volunteer, but that's how I got into barbering.
So Marcus, how long have you been cutting hair?
Total? See, I'm exposing my age here. I'm only 28.
28?
Yeah, I'm only 28. No, I started cutting when I was like 17, so I'm 34 now. So I would say loosely about 17 years. I didn't start getting formal training, like I said, until I was 18 after high school. And then when I moved to New York, became a volunteer at the headquarters of our faith, Jehovah's Witnesses. Shout out to Walk Hill Barbershop. I got more formal training there. And then once I moved to Sacramento, I became an apprentice barber here. So different stages of my cutting, all the way from house cuts to now being a business owner with you for 3 years. How about you?
I've been cutting hair for about 10 years, starting from the garage till now. Been licensed for 2 years. I was like, nice. No, I've been cutting.
Oh man, we always go back and forth about this. It's hilarious.
Yeah, so about, I would say 10 years.
We're gonna fact check his license over here to see how long he's really been licensed.
Man, you check the state board of California and failed that test 4 times. 4 times. 4 times. 4 times. I should have said that on camera.
It had nothing to do with his cutting ability. Nothing to do with it.
It's a joke, people. It's a joke.
It's a joke.
Yeah, so don't believe it. Trying to get a views up. So what inspires you to continue to cut hair, Marcus?
For me, I would probably say it's a couple things. One, it's a way for me to continue the legacy of my family with my mom being a barber. That inspires me. Just to it's kind of cool. It helps me to connect with her, just knowing that I'm doing a profession that she used to do. And I think also now, I think it's really cool to invite somebody to our place of business that we've set up with the look that we want, the environment we want, the business model that we set up. That's really cool. And just to see how the clients connect, not only to the haircuts they get, but how they connect to us. You can't put a price on that. Like us being back from the virus now and being back in the shop, like it's really cool to see everybody come through and they still had that connection with myself, with Nacho. That is something that money can't buy. We'll take the money, we appreciate it, we need it. But that's really cool. That's what inspires me, is just making a connection with people. The third thing for me, I would say, is the fact that cutting hair is an art. So I really enjoy that aspect of barbering. Just the chance that we get to be artists and create. And what about you, Notch? What would you say inspires you to cut hair?
Many things, but one of the things is, that thing for both of us that we can relate is that we don't know who's gonna book an appointment with us, who's gonna walk through those doors. They're gonna tell us where they come from, their life story. And that's very unique, because it's a complete stranger and they're trusting us to cut their hair.
Sure.
Second is the art of conversation. I think that's very deep. It's something that I actually see you do that with your clients, and I'm actually learning, because I could be very shy and very quiet when I'm cutting hair. I could zone out, but it's something that I'm working towards getting better. But it's an art, the conversation, and just talking to people, connecting, communicating, even talking about plans, future plans. The last thing for me, I think Marcus had mentioned this already, the creativity of cutting hair. Europe, by far, they're so ahead of us, but their trends come to the States for us to, we learn every day, we learn new techniques, we learn new styles, and it keeps us on our toes for sure. Being creative with hair, that's what inspires me to continue to cut hair until, well, with learning, it never stops. The show goes on.
It's very true. And that's one thing I do appreciate about working with Nacho. We feed off of each other, so he learns from me, I learn from him. And one thing that inspired me is the way that he watches YouTube, not only as far as cuts, but products, tools, the business side. And it's kind of inspired me even within the last year to continue to learn. It never stops. That will pretty much conclude our episode number 2 of Cut to the Chase. Thanks for tuning in. I think just to sum up what we talked about today, we're very happy to be able to work together to create this environment, this place for you guys to come and enjoy your cut. We pretty much have settled upon a motto for our business, a core focus motto, and that is to make everyone feel at their best every time. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Marcus.
Fernando, see you in the next episode.